My husband won't let me sleep. I run a forklift at a warehouse that ships appliances. 12-hour shifts, heavy loads, tight spaces. Last month, someone clipped a pallet rack and brought down 4,000 pounds of refrigerators. Dude was in the hospital for a week. I need to stay alert or I'm cooked. 3 months ago, my husband started taking calls from his friend Devin around 2 in the morning. Devin drives long-haul routes and needs someone to keep him awake. My husband would answer every time, put it on speaker, and talk for an hour right there in bed next to me. After 2 weeks of broken sleep, I started nodding off at work. I couldn't even lock in anymore. I asked him to take the calls in the living room. He said I'd wake up anyway when he got out of bed, so what was the point? I bought him wireless earbuds. He said they hurt his ears. I asked him to keep his voice down. He said Devin couldn't hear him if he whispered. By week 7, I was a wreck. I mixed up 2 orders and nearly sent a shipment to the wrong state. My boss pulled me aside and asked if I was getting enough rest. I lied and said yes. That night, I told my husband I almost screwed up badly at work. He looked at me and said, "So you want me to tell Devin to risk his life so you can sleep better?" Like I was asking him to kill someone. I started sleeping in the guest bedroom. First night, I slept 8 hours straight. My husband didn't say anything for 3 days. Then he started moving weird, making comments like, "Must be nice having your own space," and "Guess you don't need me anymore." A week later, he came to the door and said married people sleep together. I told him this was about my safety. He called me dramatic. 2 nights ago, I had the day off, so I stayed in our regular bed. Around 2 a.m., the phone rang. My husband answered and put it on speaker. He said, "Hey man, how's the road?" There was a pause. Then he laughed. "Oh yeah, I bet that was a mess." Another pause. "No way. Seriously?" That's when it clicked. I couldn't hear Devin at all. My husband had his back to me, phone glowing in his hand. I leaned over his shoulder and looked at the screen. He wasn't on a call. He was on YouTube playing some trucking podcast with the sound barely on. I grabbed the phone out of his hand. He spun around and tried to take it back, but I held it away. I checked his recent calls. The last call to Devin's number was 3 months ago, 1 minute and 30 seconds. He said it wasn't what it looked like. I asked if he'd been faking this the whole time. He said, "I wanted to see if you'd choose sleep over me." My stomach dropped. He said his ex-wife left him because he used to work night shifts and she couldn't handle the schedule. He needed to know if I was like her. If I'd bail the second things got inconvenient. I asked if he knew I almost hurt someone at work because I was so tired. He said that wasn't his fault. I could have just dealt with it. I went to the guest room and locked the door. The next morning, I started packing his stuff into trash bags. He came out of the bathroom and saw me. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You need to leave." He grabbed one of the bags. "You can't just kick me out." I pulled it back. "Watch me." He tried to block the bedroom door. I picked up my phone and dialed his mom on speaker. When she answered, I asked, "Does my husband have a friend named Devin who drives trucks?" She paused. "I don't think so, honey." "Why?" My husband's face went red. He hung up the call and said I had no right involving his mother. I told him he had until noon to get out or I was calling a locksmith. He said this was his house too. I said fine, then I'd leave and he could explain to the mortgage company why he couldn't cover it alone on his data entry salary. He grabbed 2 bags and his laptop and walked out without another word. He texted me 4 hours later asking if we could talk. I blocked his number. He showed up at my work yesterday during my lunch break. Security wouldn't let him pass the gate. I watched him through the fence for a minute, then went back inside. This morning he was sitting on our front steps when I left for work. I walked right past him to my car. He stood up and said we needed to talk about this like adults. I got in my car and locked the doors. He put his hand on my window and said he was sorry. He just panicked. He didn't mean for it to go this far. Bro was not sorry. He was scared. I started the engine. He stepped back. I reversed out of the driveway and he just stood there watching me leave. I called a lawyer from the parking lot at work. She said I had enough for mental cruelty and asked if I wanted to file this week. I said yes. She's drawing up the papers now. Tonight I'm changing the locks. Tomorrow I'm opening my own bank account. I already moved half our savings this morning before my shift.